Hi everyone, today's topic is what dentists need to know about COVID-19. As we all know, the coronavirus are four types: alpha, beta, gamma, delta. The first two types, alpha and beta, are more prevalent in humans and mammals, especially it's affecting the respiratory tract and gastrointestinal tract and CNS. And these gamma and delta are more prevalent in birds. So coming to the common symptoms we see is cough, fever, shortness of breath, myalgia, tiredness, abnormal chest CT. Abnormal chest CT, what we will be seeing is that it would be a bilateral pneumonia, ground glass opacity. Mostly it would be a bilateral patchy shadows. Coming to the unusual symptoms, what we see in COVID is headache, production of sputum, hemoptysis, and stomach pain, dizziness, nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, difference in the smell, and difference in the taste. Dyschezia is different in the taste, and also most of the cases are having ARDS, that is acute respiratory distress syndrome. Okay. Coming to the COVID transmission, it mostly occurs by oropharyngeal and nasopharyngeal secretion. But the new fact is that due to the eye secretion also, the COVID is getting infected. While seeing the swab of conjunctiva, the COVID positive cases, the eye secretion also have the COVID-19. So it also get transmitted through eye mucosa, so that's an extra point. And the oropharyngeal and nasopharyngeal secretions are associated with saliva. So whenever these secretions are entering into the saliva, while we are doing the treatment, it may be a larger droplet or a smaller droplet. So whenever there is a larger droplet, it will affect the persons who are near to it, like the doctors who are treating the patients, and the smaller droplets will be suspended in the air. These viral particles will have a long distance transmission to the person who are sitting in that particular area. So we have to be very vigilant that the dental team and the patients who are coming for the treatment has to be kept safe by keeping these points in the mind. So let's see the impact of temperature and humidity on COVID. So for every increase, 1 degree Celsius increase or 1% of humidity increase, there is a decrease in the reproductive capacity of the COVID. So in the northern hemisphere, due to the advent of a summer and rainy season, there is a decrease in the COVID transmission. Coming to the diagnosis should not be done with a single particular criteria. It has to be a combination by combining all these consideration has to be taken into account. That is travel history, whether the patient is a resident in an infected area, that is 2 weeks before the diagnosis, and also the laboratory test, clinical symptoms, CT imaging. So it has to be a combination while coming to a diagnosis. It should not be a single criteria to come to a diagnosis. In addition, when a person is having one single negative lab test of COVID, it doesn't mean that the patient is not infected. Even the test is only 60% reliability is there. So we have to look into the other criteria for the confirmation of COVID. So nowadays the saliva diagnostics in the COVID is playing a major role because the saliva is getting COVID virus. Why is that? It may be from the respiratory tract, upper or lower respiratory tract, or the ACE inhibitors which are present in the salivary glands act as a very good receptor for the spike protein of coronavirus, and thus from this salivary gland it will just pass through the duct and enter the whole saliva. Or the GCF also has more of a ACE2N receptor, where the spike proteins are so affinity towards the ACE receptor in the gingival clavicular space. So the GCF also has some amount of COVID in positive cases, which will ultimately lead to whole saliva. So the saliva would be a role of transmission and also plays an important role in diagnostics. Coming to the treatment, there is no particular anti-COVID treatment so far discovered, and also there is no particular vaccine which has been going through a lot of trials. So the main aim of developing a vaccine is by targeting this spike protein of coronavirus. And also a lot of treatment has been tried, like 600 mg of hydroxychloroquine, or it may be combined with azithromycin and plasma, which has been retrieved from the recovered cases of COVID. And also there is a huge expression of ACE2 receptor is on the tongue. So when compared to all the oral mucosa, the tongue is expressing more of ACE2 receptor, which would be a very much lovable area for the COVID to get transmitted. And how we will manage the patients and how we can prevent the infection. First of all, the triage has to be followed by teleconsultation. In this, we have to ask about the travel history of the patient, and also is there any symptoms like cough and fever. If any one of this is positive, then it is always recommended to postpone the elective dental care for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And we have to ask the patient to fill certain forms like a comprehensive medical history of that particular patient, and a questionnaire of COVID screening, and also a true emergency questionnaire has to be filled by the patient. Next is the body temperature. When the patient arrives to the clinic, we have to check the body temperature by the non-contact forehead thermometers, or with the camera with the infrared temperature sensors. So if you find a patient is having greater than 100.4 degree Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius, then the elective treatment can be postponed again for 2 to 3 weeks. If the patient is a suspected or a confirmed cases of COVID-19, but we have to do the treatment because he is very much suffering from extreme pain or swelling, which cannot be treated with medications. In that cases, the life-threatening cases, then we can ask the patient to come, and he has to be placed in the ventilated area, and he has to be placed 6 meters away from other patients in the seating arrangement. And also ask the patient of a suspected COVID-19 to wear a surgical mask, and respiratory hygiene has to be instructed to the patient to follow by using a tissue over the mouth while sneezing or coughing. And also we can disinfect the medical kits like BP cuff and thermometers with 70% ethanol. And also advise the patient to self-quarantine and inform the patient's physician to avoid the COVID risk. The first pharmacological treatment has to be implemented in suspected cases of COVID. Rather than directly going ahead and doing the treatment, we have to first try the pharmacological treatment, wherein we will be using an antibiotics and analgesics, wherein the British Medical Journal has been recommending us to use an acetaminophen instead of ibuprofen, because ibuprofen is found to be interfering with the immune system function. So better we can use an analgesic acetaminophen instead of ibuprofen. And we have to perform the dental care after the pharmacological treatment, so that we can have some time to plan for the treatment, as well as we can decrease the infection spread by delaying the treatment. Coming to the dental treatment guidance for the suspected and confirmed cases of COVID. So the emergency treatment would be a patient who is suffering from a facial space infection or a dentoalveolar trauma. So first of all, the guidance would be the hand hygiene. That is, we can use alcohol-based hand rub or a soap and water. But whenever you find that it is a visibly soiled surface, the hand is visibly soiled like dirt or blood or body fluids, then it is not recommended to use alcohol-based hand rub. Rather, we have to do a soap and water hand wash. In addition, the personal protective equipments, the first one is that the protective glasses and the face shield, because as I told earlier, the eye also is a point of invasion through the eye mucosa. So we have to protect the eyes, nose, and the face, which is the critical parts for the transmission of COVID. So the protective glasses and face shields has to be used, and it has to be disinfected for each and every patient. Coming to the face mask, which face mask has to be used for which cases and which procedures? When you are dealing with a patient at the 1 meter, so not 1 millimeter, it's 1 meter away from the patient, then we can use a medical surgical mask. But when you are doing an aerosol generation methods, then we have to use N95 mask, which is certified by the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. And also you can use EU FFP2, that is European Standard Filtering Face Piece 2, if you are dealing with aerosol generation methods. And if you are dealing with the emergency dental treatment in the suspected and confirmed cases of COVID, then you have to go with instead of P2, we have to use P3 respirators, that is European Standard Filtering Face Piece 3, and which is confirming the standard EN 149. So pre-procedural rinse we will be using most of the time. So it is found that it is decreasing the colony forming units by 68.4%. So it is better to use the pre-procedural rinse so that we will be reducing the proportion of microorganisms during oral aerosol production procedures. So either we can use the chlorhexidine 0.12% or cetylpyridinium chloride, that is 0.05%, or essential oil can be used. Coming to the radiograph of choice, always recommend a panoramic radiograph in this corona period rather than going ahead and doing a IOPA, because intraoral radiograph will induce gag and cough, which will be a source of transmission. So if there is no other go, you have to do a IOPA. Then you can do it by wrapping the sensor by double wrapping to avoid the perforation and cross contamination. If you are doing an intraoral procedure, you can also use povidone iodine and hydrogen peroxide in the recommended concentration for mouthwash, pre-procedural radiographic mouthwash. Use of rubber dam has been recommended to decrease the splatter production, and also it may be also additionally covering the nose, the rubber dam, so decrease of COVID transmission would be there. The rubber dam has been must for certain cases like endodontic, pediatric, restorative procedures, and also for the single crown preparation, or if you are planning for a supragingival preparation of FPD. And single tool use is recommended for syringes, mouth mirrors, and blood pressure cuff. And to reduce the aerosol production, we can opt for manual scaling instead of ultrasonic scaling, and we can use the use of handpiece and three-way syringes has to be minimized as much as possible, and we can opt for atraumatic restorative procedure and chemomechanical caries removal. Coming to the disinfections of the surfaces which are near to the operatory area, each and every time, each and every patient, we have to disinfect all the surfaces. The surface sanitizer would be 62 to 71% ethanol or 0.5% hydrogen peroxide, or it would be a 0.1% sodium hypochlorite. We can make a 1% by 1 gram in 1 liter. The sodium hypochlorite solution can be made. Coming to the waste disposal, it has to be sent to a temporary storage facility of medical center. If you are treating confirmed cases of COVID, then double layer yellow clinical waste bags has to be used to dispose the infectious waste materials from this suspected cases, and it has to be disposed properly. So on putting into the double layer yellow clinical waste bag, you have to put a gooseneck knot, and then label it over it as an infectious waste material related to the COVID, and then dispose as per the requirement of medical waste disposal. Other clinical tips are do extraction of the tooth. So we have to do extraction in the supine position, and if you are doing a try-in of RPD or complete denture, stop touching other items in the dental areas. And also if you are doing any prosthodontic procedures, the prosthodontic materials which comes in contact with the saliva, these has to be disinfected with the intermediate level disinfectant. And while you are carrying out a salivary suction, we have to be very careful to prevent the gag reflex, and also choose the impression trays in an appropriate size so that it prevents coughing. In extremely sensitive patients, before planning for any impression, you can use a topical anesthesia and throat. If you like these video, you can subscribe to our channel. This materials of data has been collected from the Elsevier Oral Oncology review article. Okay, so I'll be attaching the link below so you can see that article also. Thank you. Have a great day.